So I think this is one of the fun things about this chapter is learning what name to give a cloud. And I'll warn you up front that it's not as easy as you might think. And I'll also say that sometimes of these 10 cloud types, it's quite possible that there can be, in any given time, more than one of these types in the sky. So a good way to learn these 10 types is to kind of break them down into pieces, into Latin pieces. So for instance, one part of their name will describe its stability. And the two Latin words that go with regard to the stability of the cloud are stratus, and I put the word flat next to stratus. Our flat clouds are stratus type clouds, and our fluffy clouds have the word cumulo or cumulus in them somehow. Okay, so we learned at the end of chapter 4 that if the atmosphere is relatively stable, and that means that the air is not rising extremely, it doesn't have a lot of vertical movement. So I could kind of draw stability like this. So a chunk of air has ascended to the point where we have condensation going on, but it's not just wanting to shoot to the moon. Our fluffy clouds form in unstable air. What does that mean? Well, at the end of chapter 4, we talked about if a parcel of air is unstable, then it has the tendency to want to rise. And why is that? Because it tends to be warmer than its environment. Okay, so we'll get our fluffy clouds in unstable air. So the cloud name will have the word stratus or strato in it, and cumulus or cumulo, or starts with the letter C anyway in it. Another thing that we do is we associate kind of the general elevation, okay, or altitude. And we can kind of break the Earth's atmosphere into low, middle, and high. And I'll tell you that low has no prefix. Okay, if our clouds are kind of low near the Earth's surface, there's no prefix with regard to indicating its elevation. The middle clouds get the prefix alto, and the high clouds get the prefix cirro. Okay, so that's another piece of naming these 10 types of clouds. The last thing is the cloud precipitating. Now, if the cloud is precipitating, we use the root NIMB, nimbus or nimbo. That means it is precipitating. So we talk about its stability, its general elevation, if it's low, middle, or high, and is it precipitating. So those three things go along to give us 10 cloud types. So there are 3 cloud types that are high. And actually, you can see there is a little bit of a difference into how high they are. Maybe perhaps our highest of the high clouds are cirrus. Before that, we had cirrocumulus. See how they look like little cotton balls? We had cirrostratus, the word cirro meaning they're high. And then cirrus is the highest of all of these high clouds, and it is actually another flat cloud forming in stable air. Then we have 2 middle clouds. We have alto, and since it's middle, we have to use the word alto. All clouds that are middle clouds use the word alto. So they're altostratus, meaning it's middle flat, and altocumulus, meaning it's middle fluffy. There you go. And then we move on to our low clouds. So now remember, we use the term cirro or cirrus for high clouds, alto for middle clouds, and there is no prefix for the cloud to describe it if it's kind of close to the Earth's surface, our lowest clouds. So the first one I'm revealing from left to right here, this is a nimbo, meaning rain, right? Stratus, meaning flat. Those are relatively low, flat raining clouds. Then we have just the cloud type we call stratus. Notice there's no alto or cirro there, so it means that it's a low, flat cloud. Then we have actually something that's kind of a mixed bag of stability. It's called stratocumulus, so it's both flat and fluffy. and these are relatively low level clouds. Then we have two cloud types, and I've seen it kind of broken up, and especially cumulus clouds kind of broken up differently sometimes. But we have two clouds that have a fair bit of potential instability associated with them. And they are our cumulus, and we'll talk about I'm going to talk about two types of cumulus clouds. Notice that cumulus clouds start as low level, but they can tend to kind of go into the middle level. But the last type of cloud has vertical development. That would be our second raining cloud. Cumulo meaning fluffy, nimbus meaning it's raining. So these are our raining, fluffy thunderstorm clouds. Okay, and we'll be talking more about cumulonimbus clouds later. So this is a table from your textbook. Does a pretty good job, starting with the high, then the middle, then the low, and then the kind of the vertically developed clouds. So notice that each cloud type has two letters to indicate an abbreviation for it. So cirrus is CI, cirrostratus CS, cirrocumulus CC. Again, you see the word cirro meaning high, stratus flat, cumulus fluffy. When we talk in chapter 16, which is also part of 2, about kind of some optical effect, some kind of cool things we see in the sky sometimes. Halos are really awesome, and actually halos are due to the presence of these wispy cirrostratus clouds. If you've seen a high flat cloud before that kind of looks like a mare's tail, like a horse tail, that's the cirrus clouds. And cirrocumulus, it's kind of neat. It kind of looks like fish scales, kind of what they call a mackerel sky. Little tiny cotton balls, cirrocumulus. Then our two middle clouds, the altostratus, so alto meaning middle, stratus meaning flat. And actually, if you've ever, I've heard it described as the earth, or it's not the earth, the sun or the moon have kind of like a watery appearance, I guess especially the sun appears kind of watery. That's the presence of, that could be due to the presence of these kind of kind of thin, flat clouds. Then we get to our low clouds. So stratus would mean it's a low cloud because it doesn't say alto or cirro, and it's a low flat cloud, stratus clouds. Stratocumulus is flat and with a little bit of fluffy. And nimbostratus would meaning it's a relatively low cloud, it's a precipitating cloud, and it's flat nimbostratus. Cumulus, it starts relatively low and it can have some vertical development to it. And of course, cumulonimbus clouds, nimbus meaning it's precipitating and cumulo meaning it's fluffy. So these are